Hello, and welcome to the Library of AI's Andrea. Let's begin with a question. What important truth do very few people agree with you on? This question sounds simple, but it's deceptively hard. A good answer isn't just a controversial opinion. It's a unique insight into how the world works, a secret hidden in plain sight. This is the kind of thinking that, according to legendary entrepreneur and investor Peter Thiel, is the necessary first step to building the future. In his iconic book, 0 to 1, Notes on Startups, or How to Build the Future, Thiel delivers a powerful and contrarian manifesto for innovators. He argues that the next Bill Gates won't build an operating system, and the next Mark Zuckerberg won't create a social network. Copying what has already been done takes the world from 1 to N. True progress, the kind that defines our future, comes from creating something entirely new, from going from 0 to 1. Thiel challenges the modern dogmas of business, arguing that competition is a destructive force, not a sign of value, and that the goal of every great business should be to become a monopoly. Today, we will explore this groundbreaking philosophy. We'll break down the crucial difference between 1 to N and 0 to 1, uncover why competition is for losers, and learn Thiel's practical framework for building a valuable, monopolistic company that can shape the future. The central premise of 0 to 1 is the distinction between two types of progress. The first is horizontal progress, or going from 1 to N. This means copying things that already work. When China builds more factories and cities based on Western models, it's making horizontal progress. Thiel uses a single word for this: globalization. The second type is vertical progress, or going from 0 to 1. This means creating something brand new. Going from a typewriter to a word processor is vertical progress. Thiel's word for this is technology. He argues that while globalization is a powerful force, it is not sustainable on its own. If every developing nation achieved the same resource consumption as the United States using only today's technology, the result would be an environmental and economic catastrophe. Therefore, technology, creating new and better ways of doing things, is the single most important driver of a better future. To create technology, you need a specific mindset, which Thiel describes as definite optimism. He presents a four-quadrant view of how cultures see the future. A definite pessimist, like modern-day China, believes the future will be bleak and prepares for it with concrete plans. An indefinite pessimist, like modern Europe, fears a bleak future but has no plan, hoping only to muddle through. The Western world, particularly America, used to be a place of definite optimism. From the Apollo program to the interstate highway system, we had grand visions for the future and we executed concrete plans to build it. Today, however, we live in an era of indefinite optimism. We generally expect the future to be better, but we have no specific vision for it. Our students are taught to build a diverse resume to keep their options open for an unknowable career path. Our financial system is built on diversification, spreading money around in the hopes that progress just happens. Thiel argues that this indefinite attitude is the source of our stagnation. Great companies are not built by chance or by hedging bets. They are built by founders with a definite vision for the future, by returning to a mindset of intelligent design over blind evolution. The most provocative argument in 0 to 1 is that competition is for losers. Our society, from our educational system to our business language, glorifies competition as a sign of health and value. In reality, it is a destructive force that erodes profits and makes companies indistinguishable from each other. Thiel contrasts two market structures. The first is perfect competition, the default state described in economics textbooks. In this model, many firms sell undifferentiated products, forcing them to compete on price until no one makes a profit. Think of the restaurant industry, where margins are razor-thin and failure rates are high. The opposite is monopoly. While the word has negative connotations of illegal bullying or government cronyism, Thiel defines a creative monopoly as a company that is so good at what it does that no other firm can offer a close substitute. Google, for example, has a monopoly on search. Microsoft has a monopoly on desktop operating systems. These companies don't have to worry about competing with anyone, which frees them up to think about bigger things: their workers, their products, and their long-term vision. As Thiel famously states, all happy companies are different. Each one earns a monopoly by solving a unique problem. All failed companies are the same. They failed to escape competition. The goal for any startup should be to build a monopoly. So, how do you build a monopoly? Thiel identifies 4 key characteristics that successful monopolies often share. First is proprietary technology. This is the most substantive advantage a company can have. To be truly monopolistic, your technology must be at least 10 times better than its closest substitute on some key dimension. A marginal improvement isn't enough to get customers to switch. You need to create a quantum leap in value, either by inventing something completely new or by radically improving an existing solution. Second are network effects. A business with network effects becomes more useful as more people use it. Facebook is the classic example. The paradox is that to achieve massive network effects, you must start with an extremely small market. Facebook started with only Harvard students. By dominating that small, concentrated network, it could then methodically expand. Third are economies of scale. A great business gets stronger as it gets bigger. Software companies are a perfect example. The cost to produce one more copy of their product is nearly zero. This allows them to scale to serve millions of customers with low marginal costs, an advantage that service-based businesses can't replicate. Fourth is branding. A strong brand can create a monopoly in itself. Apple is the prime example. Through its design, marketing, and the charisma of Steve Jobs, it created a perception that its products are in a category of their own. However, Thiel warns that branding alone is not enough. It must be built on a foundation of substance, superior technology, scale, and network effects. Having these characteristics isn't enough. You must execute a specific strategy. Thiel's blueprint is to start small and monopolize. Identify a tiny, niche market that you can dominate completely. For PayPal, this wasn't the millions of people who could use email payments, but the few thousand high-volume power sellers on eBay who desperately needed a better payment solution. Once you have monopolized your initial niche, you must scale up by deliberately expanding into adjacent markets. Amazon is the master of this. Jeff Bezos started with books, a niche he could dominate. From there, he expanded methodically into CDs, videos, software, and eventually became the world's general store. The key is disciplined, sequential growth, not a premature attack on a large, competitive market. This leads to what Thiel calls last mover advantage. Being the first to market is a tactic, not a goal. It's far better to be the last great development in a market and enjoy decades of monopoly profits. Thiel argues that the difference between success and failure often comes down to asking the right questions from the very beginning. He proposes 7 questions that every business must answer. He uses the disastrous clean tech bubble of the 2000s as a case study for what happens when founders ignore these questions, and Tesla as a model for getting them right. The engineering question: can you create a breakthrough technology instead of just an incremental improvement? Is it 10x better? The timing question: is now the right time to start this particular business? The monopoly question: are you starting with a big share of a small, specific market? The people question: do you have the right team? This means not just talent, but a team that is personally aligned with the company's unique mission. The distribution question: do you have a way to not just create, but also deliver your product? Sales is just as important as the product itself. The durability question: will your market position be defensible 10 and 20 years into the future? The secret question: have you identified a unique opportunity that others don't see? This brings us back to Thiel's contrarian question. A great business is a conspiracy to change the world, built around a secret that only you and your team know. Peter Thiel's 0 to 1 is not a manual or a record of knowledge. It is, in his own words, an exercise in thinking. It's a challenge to reject the dogmas of competition and incrementalism, and to instead embrace the difficult, singular act of creation. The book teaches us that progress is not inevitable. The future will be better only if we build it with intention, with a definite vision. By seeking out secrets, aiming for monopoly, and answering the 7 crucial questions, entrepreneurs can create new technology that moves the world from 0 to 1. This is not just a path to building a great business. It's the path to building a better future for everyone. If this summary has challenged your conventional thinking and you want to dive deeper into Peter Thiel's provocative framework for building the future, we strongly encourage you to purchase 0 to 1. You can find a link to buy the book in the description below. Thank you for joining us at the Library of AI's. If this summary provided you with a new lens through which to see the world, please like, subscribe, and share it with the innovators and builders in your life. We'll see you in the next chapter.